to talk about a very, very important topic. That topic which most of the children hate to attempt. Yes, you get me right. Comprehension. I know many of you have this phobia, comprehension phobia. The moment you see it, oh my God, who will read that long paragraph, right? That's the first thing we all react to. But don't you worry. Here we are with the best tips and tricks for you to score the maximum in every comprehension. So let's get moving. Comprehension involves a thorough understanding of the given passage consisting of one or more paragraphs. Comprehension, comprehend. So another word for comprehend is understand, right? So this is what you have to do. You have to understand the given passage which is of one or more paragraphs. It is meant to test the understanding power and intellectual skill of a student. You need to understand, you need to develop the skill. So many times you read a book, see, comprehension is nothing but just reading a book. Like a part of a book, a part of it has been given to you and questions are based on the same. So where is the problem? We all read books, don't we? We read articles. You are just being tested on how much you have understood what you read, correct? Now, there are different types of passages. First passage that you have is either factual, descriptive or literary, discursive or persuasive. It carries multiple choice questions of 8 marks. Now, this is how it generally comes in your paper, right? Don't worry, we are going to talk about each one of them at length further down. Second passage is either a case-based unseen factual. It carries multiple choice questions of 6 marks. So now you have these different types of passages to understand, to read and understand and then answer the questions. So let's see it at length. One question that constantly plagues, it gives you a disease literally, every student's mind is how to improve in reading comprehensions, right? I got your nerve. You have to admit, reading comprehension questions are a tricky ball game. Yes, they are. They are a little tricky. A little twist in the question and you don't know where the answer is. But don't you worry, we are here. The passages can be time consuming because you have to read. Now, exam means you have limited time span, correct? Now, you have to answer the questions within that much period. You can't spend the maximum time with your comprehension, right? So, you have to make sure that you balance the time, right? Be it your comprehensions, you have to do your writing skills, you have to do your literature, you have to attempt all the sections of your paper. So, you know that reading comprehension is time consuming, energy sapping. Oh my God, comprehension, and you're drained of all the energy reading that long passage and with the tension in your head. And information intensive. Lots of information. You have to go through each and every line to understand it. On the other hand, the rewards they offer are fascinating. How's that? If you grasp a passage well, if you understand the passage well, you will be able to get most questions in a single passage correct. You will get it correct because you have understood the passage, and this means you gain quite a few marks by solving one set of questions. Because quite often, I as a teacher have seen when I have corrected so many papers, children tend to lose marks in their comprehension. So yes, if you understand it very well, you will definitely attain the maximum marks. One of the most significant factors for solving reading comprehensions and being accurate, exact in this area actually revolves around the approach you adopt for the topic. How do you approach the topic? Oh my God, you take it as a burden, Himalaya on your head? No, don't do that. It's not even required. It's just a small thing. How you cope with such a challenge actually becomes a central aspect of how you perform in reading comprehensions. It's all upon you, how you take it. If you take it, oh, it is just a paragraph, I have to read and answer the questions, you are sorted. But if you take it as a tension, if you take it as a burden, then I'm sorry to say you will not even be able to attain those good marks. So don't do that. Yes? While ensuring that you strike a fine balance for this area, it is important that you keep a number of things in your mind. and ensure you do not fall into the common pitfalls. You have to go through the tips and tricks and technique of solving it. Don't fall into the pitfall. Oh, don't get into that trap. There's nothing of it. With regards to the approach you should adopt for reading comprehensions, keep the following points in mind. You keep these following points and you are done. Do not overemphasize trivialities. Trivialities mean small things. Don't take it too much. Oh my God, this number, this place, this. No, don't overdo it. Details are important, but don't be obsessed with examples, illustrations and so on. Read them, go through them. You just need to get a hang of the main point and not the examples. Those examples are there just to confuse you. In fact, they add to your knowledge. That's correct. But at the same time, don't get involved in them. Comprehending the overall flow and structure will help you analyze and answer the question. So once you have understood the overall flow, what is the passage actually trying to tell you? You get the hang of it, and yes, you will be able to answer your questions in a jiffy. Let's see further. Do not memorize. There is nothing to by heart in that. No ways. You do not need to memorize every word present in the passage. Understanding the flow, you see the sequence, structure and main points in the passage should be your priority. What you have to do is, you have to just understand the flow, you have to understand the structure, you have to see what the main points are in the passage. That's it. For factual or specific point questions, you can always reread the passage. When you have something fact-based, some case-based, where you have certain figures, for the same, you can refer the passage again. That's not a problem. So, what it's trying to tell you is you don't need to memorize it. You don't need to learn it by heart. Do not read the passage first. Now, generally what happens, as soon as the question paper comes, you get 10-15 minutes for reading time you get, and then what you do is you read the passage, right? What do we have to do? Always go through the questions first and then the passage. This will prepare you to focus on the things you need to look at in the passage. So basically, where did Ram live, for example? So you know what you have to focus at. So there's a way of doing things, right? Focus only on the questions and not on a particular answer option. You have to focus on all your questions. You just read them once, and then when you start reading your paragraph, you will know exactly which answer is where. A quick overview of the questions is sufficient. It's more than enough. Just read the questions quickly and then get on to your passage, and then you are done. Do not overemphasize vocabulary skills for reading comprehension. Now, you don't have to actually emphasize, you have to have a rich vocabulary, undoubtedly. I don't deny that. But at the same time, having a strong vocabulary is great. However, having Shakespearean vocabulary will not prevent you from understanding the passage. So, even if you have that rich Shakespearean vocabulary, then too you are sorted, you will understand the paragraph. That's not going to stop you. So, do not put yourself under stress in this area. Please don't take any kind of tension. It's not even worth it. You just need to understand things. And while reading the passage, make sure that you understand the gist. What is the theme? What is it actually telling you? And do not get stuck on particular words. Oh my God, what does that word mean? I don't even understand it. But don't get stuck. You understand the vocabulary, you get the gist of the passage, and the vocabulary you can take as per the context, you will understand it. Do not spend time on reading comprehensions that you cannot comprehend at first. So when you have read your questions for the first time, then you are reading your paragraph and somewhere you feel, dude, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand this passage at all. So please do not spend time on reading and rereading it. At times we come across a passage that we are not able to comprehend. Comprehend as in understand. If you are struggling with one such passage in the exam, make sure you have the patience to avoid such a passage. Okay, you read it once, you did not understand it, fine, let it be, go to the next, attempt the remaining questions, and in the end come back. See, what happens is, when we get stuck on the very first, now comprehension is always, the reading skills come first in your paper, correct? Now the moment you lose heart, you are disheartened, you get a lot of tension and stress. Oh my God, it's a 10 marks question and I don't even understand the passage. Then what happens? You get demotivated and the remaining paper will get affected. So please be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. What you do is, if you read the passage, if you feel you haven't understood it, let it be. Come back to it after you have attempted the remaining paper. So please play smart. Yes? Focus on the ones that you can manage easily. Go back to the tricky passage in case of absolute necessity. Of course, you have to attempt. You definitely cannot leave it. No ways you're going to do that. You are going to make an attempt, but yes, come to it towards the end. Moving further, do not think the correct option would come from outside the passage, whatever be the question. If the question is based on the passage, your answer is in the passage, right? So don't take that tension. Any of the options that are out of scope is never the correct answer. It will not go beyond. It will be within the passage. The right answer is always based on the information given within the passage. Do not focus on any of the options that distract you from the passage. Some example, something given inside and it's distracting you from there, don't bother, just leave it. Do not rely on trigger words. What do you mean by that? You might get trapped in the web of trigger words if you don't read attentively through the passage. A passage may focus on one point for quite a bit of sentences and then change it towards the end with trigger words like but or however. You know, they say the whole thing, but suddenly, but this happened. Where's your focus? On the first part of the sentence. But actually the question is based on what? But and after the sentence, right? But she did not go to school. You know, so you are focusing on this is the problem, this is the problem. She had fever, she was not well, you know, she was bedridden. But, you know, so what your focus should be is, don't get stuck on these trigger words. This will usually confuse the readers who skim through the passage or rush through it in haste. Generally, like when I told you, as I told you, when you were reading your first set of questions, when you read it the first time you were skimming, you were just going through your passage. In a hurry, you might get stuck there when you are in a haste. So don't worry, take care of it, right? There's nothing to bother. Yes, make notes. What's your next step? Make notes. While reading obscure or abstract text, make sure you make some quick notes for your reference. You either underline, you have a pencil with you, right? Quite often you are not allowed to even write anything on your question paper, like I don't allow them, right? So make small notes. So just try, if you're allowed, you can just underline certain you feel important words, go through that so that it's a quick glance when you go back to it. You can write the general flow. What's the flow? The structure, paragraph wise flow and important points. Okay, this paragraph, this has been highlighted, this paragraph, this is there. So you have an idea. Remember that you do not have to make really long notes. Don't waste your time. Don't make any long notes. Just make a quick note of the important markers or points in the passage. Anything that's really, really important, really pertaining to the questions asked below, only those. Try to preempt questions. What do you mean by preempt? This is a really difficult skill, but if you master this, you will surely be the king of reading comprehensions, or of course the queen as well. While reading the passage, what is preempt? Try to identify the possible questions that could be asked and which parts of the passage seem the most likely candidates for question setting. So when you are reading the passage, you have that skill that, okay, you know, on this question can be based. There is a possibility, there is a chance, it may not be correct, may or may not be. But if you have that skill, and likewise if you get some questions similar to that, oh, you're done. You have your answer already. So yes, try to preempt questions. So while you're reading, this can be asked, this is this, you know, just your mind keeps working on that. So yes, That's how it goes. Opening and closing paragraphs require extra focus. When you are reading the first para, when you are reading the last para, you need to concentrate. You need to really pay attention. You really need to absorb that. Questions such as the main idea question are based on the overall subject of the passage, and the majority of the time, the answer for this question type lies in the first and last paragraph of the passage. Ensure you derive the maximum possible information from these paragraphs. Most of your information, questions are based on these. So yes, concentrate on them. Do read them very well. Constantly question yourself while reading the passage. Question what? In order to maintain your concentration while reading, make sure that some basic questions keep playing at the back of your mind. Like, what is the author's main point? Why is the author writing like this? Keep questioning yourself. Why? What is he trying to say? Okay, he has said this means this is possible. Read. See, this is what is called concentration. This is what is called focus. Only you and your paragraph. That's it. No third thing around you. So when you give your 100%, when you focus, you can solve it way faster. And trust me, it will be way better. You will score much more. How has the author chosen to convey his main point? How has the author organized this material? All these questions will keep coming to your mind, all of them, and this is where you will understand how to go about. So if you keep these questions, now they are 11 in number, but that does not mean they will consume your time. How you will develop all this? When you are practicing, right? And when and how will you practice? So in this app, you have notes. You will have this in your notes. You can go through them again, just in case you don't remember right now. You have a question bank where you have solved questions, you have illustrations. So many comprehensions have been given there for you to refer, go through and see how they have been answered, right? Also, you have to go through them and attempt your test. You have a set of passages. You have them where you have all the different types of passages in your test. Attempt them, and that is where you will develop these skills. Trust me, go for it. I'll get you some more tips and tricks in the next video. Stay tuned. Now, as mentioned earlier, I told you I shall be still giving you a little more information on how to solve your comprehensions. Now, like we said before, there are different types of comprehensions. So, what are they? Reading comprehension passages present information in the following 6 writing forms. There are different forms they present, and to each and every form you have a different approach. You have narrative, descriptive, factual or expository or informative, argumentative or persuasive, analytical or abstract. Now let's get into the depth of each, what you will be getting through. Now let's see how you can identify each writing style and devise your reading comprehension strategy accordingly. Now according to that, you will plan your strategy and attempt it, right? So let's go. To start with, the narrative style of writing. What is narrative? When you say something, when there is something in your mind and you're speaking, or you have written it down. So it is one of the easiest to identify, since these passages are written in the form of a story. The author intends to narrate, he tends to either speak, now here he writes, some events or personal experiences through such passages. In other words, these passages would appear most interesting to read if you are a bibliophile. That means when you collect a lot of books, you are a bibliophile, right? A lot of information, lot of books, novels, anecdotes, autobiographies, histories, etc. are mostly written in a narrative style. We know that so very well. Novels are a sequence of events, right? Anecdotes, autobiographies, histories, all these come in the narrative style of form, right? In the form of reading. All you would need to do is, what would you do? Try to identify the main ideas conveyed in the beginning, middle and last. Again, so like we said, you have to focus on the first and last para, right? Now, when it is a narrative style, of course, you have to look at it in the middle. That does not mean it's the entire passage, but still, you need to have the flow of events, right? While reading the passage, try to extract the underlying message that the author wants to convey through the story. What is he trying to tell you? Is it a moral value based story? Honesty is the best policy. Is he giving you an example based on that? Is he giving you some type of a horror story which is in sequence? That all you have to see. What is he trying to convey? Also, the tone of the author will help you understand the emotions he or she is going through while narrating the story. You automatically come to know he's in anger, he's disheartened, he's demotivated, or he's enthusiastic. You get to know as you read. Both direct and indirect questions may be asked from these passages. In these passages, you can have direct as well as indirect, but your answer is there. It's you who has to play smart. The tricky ball game, take care of it. Yes, moving further, descriptive passages. Now, the next part is descriptive passages intend to describe a place, person, thing, or event in great detail. Now, just as the word says, descriptive, it describes, right? It will either describe a place or a person or a thing or probably an event in much detail. Such passages generally include a lot of adjectives because, see, when you are describing something, obviously you will say this was long, he was handsome, she was beautiful. You will give descriptions, so automatically a lot of adjectives, adverbs and metaphors so as to paint a picture of that particular thing in the reader's mind. Now, what the reader's mind is trying to tell you, accordingly it will put up, right? So, all these will help you to do that. Most tourist guides, journals, magazines and poetry are written in a descriptive way. So, all when you want to describe things, these are the examples you will find, right, which have been put it in a descriptive approach. Yes. While tackling descriptive reading comprehension passages, just keep a few things in mind. Like what? A good idea for such passages is to go through the questions before reading the passage. Now, we have to do that for every style. This will save time and help you spot the required answers easily, since most of the questions asked from these passages are direct, right? Now, who, where, how, all those type only questions will come, right? So, that will really help you. Once you have read the questions, you will get your answers. Do not get distracted by the figurative language used in the passage. What do you mean by the figurative? Where they're using figures of speech, idioms, personifications, all of those. Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. Simple, just understand what it is trying to say. Instead, try to stay focused on understanding the contextual meaning and answer the vocabulary-based questions accordingly. So, you just stick to it. You don't have to get carried away with that. But yes, if you need to just understand the contextual meaning, what is it trying to imply, what is it trying to say, that will help you solve your vocabulary words. See, quite often they ask you the synonym of something, the antonym of something, right? In that case, when you read that, the context pertaining to that, you will definitely get your answer undoubtedly. Yes? The purpose of a factual style of writing, now coming to the next, factual, is to impart information to the reader in a logical and objective manner along with some facts and figures. Now, factual message, it's based on facts, it's based on figures. It is trying to tell you this is this number, this is this number, there is a comparison, lot of it. News stories, instruction manuals, research papers and reports present information in a factual form. So, if you have this type of a passage, how do you attempt it? While reading factual passages, facts and figures may tend to confuse you. So, focus on the main points and purpose of the passage. Don't get stuck in the facts and figures. Don't get confused there. What you will do is you focus on the main points in passage and the purpose of the passage. Here also you are advised to glance through the questions before reading the passage. Now, that's a very common thing. That's how we have to do for every passage for that matter. This way you will be able to make mental notes of the crucial information, of the important information needed to answer the questions. You know exactly, okay, this is here, I need to know this question is somewhere here, I get it, right? You won't be wasting your time. Most of the questions asked are direct and require you to identify the key points. Example, the key features of a scientific report or research. It will just want you to identify the key points. Get to the key points and answer the questions, nothing more to it. Yes? Finally, don't expect to be stimulated. Don't expect to be, oh yes, you know, it's going to be, it'll just be the opposite. The majority of the time you would be bored by reading comprehension topics, and you should not allow this to drain your energy. Don't feel that, oh my God, this is such a boring task, right? Don't get into that. It will also drain you of your energy. Maintain an impartial attitude towards the passage and do not get mentally hassled by obscure content. Anything, there's a lot of information, but yes, don't worry, don't get entangled in that, don't get stuck in that, just stick to the main motive. The above forms some of the basic points that should be kept in mind while approaching reading comprehensions. These would improve your focus, increase your grasp of the subject matter, and deliver greater understanding. If you achieve this, your task is more or less done. Yes. Once you go through your points, you are sorted. You will save your time. You will answer the questions very quickly. You will answer them correctly. So again, I am telling you, these points are there in your notes. Go to the notes section, refer to them and get the best. So these are the points, the tips and tricks that you need to follow, yes, to attain the best. Stay tuned for the next video. In this video, we are just summing up all that we spoke in the previous. So like we said, factual passages are what? A set of facts, report, instructions, description, all about it. What are the discursive passages? They are opinions. They give your opinions. You have argumentative text. Yes, possible, not possible. There's a lot of argumentative, persuasive and interpretative. You have to interpret out of it, right? Those are your discursive passages. Yes. Like literary passage, you have then extract from fiction, drama, essay, biography, etc. All those are literary passages type. What are the case-based factual passages? Passage with visual and verbal inputs of statistical data, charts, graphs. You have the pie graph, you have the charts given, right? All those types are case-based, where you get a lot of facts and figures. Now, finally, the points to be kept in mind. Before reading a passage, students are suggested to follow the steps listed below. Quickly run through the passage once. This is called skimming. Now, like we said earlier, first go through the questions. While you are doing that, you have to just skim through your passage. What is skimming? You have to just run through once, at a glance. Note all the capitalized words, numbers, names and scientific medical terms. Just, have a good glance at those. Now you read the questions and go back to the passage to find the appropriate answers. This strategy is called scanning. So first what you will do, you will skim the passage. Skim means quick, just to go through, right? And then you will scan it. Then you will look for your answers. Because after you have read the questions, after skimming, you go back to your questions and then scan the passage for your answers. Yes? Underline the words you don't understand and try to guess their meaning from the context. So while you are reading the passage, right, okay, so I'll give you a very simple thing where, children generally get stuck on vocabulary. You have to say that, okay, the child came from his swimming class and he was famished and he ran to the kitchen for food. He was famished. Famished? Yes, he was very hungry. So if they ask you a word for very hungry, it's famished. So when you look, he came back from a swimming class. Now obviously when you come back from swimming, we are all very hungry. Then the next part tells you he ran to the kitchen. So he ran to the kitchen for what? For food. So very hungry means your word famished is over there. This is how you get it, right? Check the vocabulary related questions and try to find the answers from the context. Like I just said, this is how you will get it. In multiple choice questions, analyze the questions and options carefully before selecting the correct option because some of the 4 options are closely related. Quite a few times you're confused. One A, B, C, D, you know it's not A and B, but you're stuck in C and D. And then, you know, they do that, I don't know, you do some Jai Mata Di type, something you'll do, and you'll just, you know, give it a wild guess. No, don't do that. You can understand which is the right answer. Quickly go through the subject matter questions and mark the parts of the passage you feel are the answers to the questions. Make sure you have understood the questions. Please make sure that you know what the questions mean. Because if you haven't understood the questions, you will not know where to search what answer. So don't do that. So read the passage again to counter check your answers. I know it's sounding a lot. It really feels that, oh my God, this is a task. It's a comprehension. It's a humongous task. No, it's not. Attempt your passages, attempt your tests. You will be sorted. All these skills will be developed. Trust me for that. There's one more thing I would like to bring to your notice is, don't, you know, take such, okay, now, you know what I understand is this question A, the second para, somewhere this answer is, so I'll write down the whole paragraph. Let the teacher select the answer. Don't do that. You will lose your marks. Please make sure you are precisely answering the question. If they are asking you something in particular, answer it accordingly. Don't give your teacher an option that in this paragraph the answer is, you pick the answer. Sorry, you will lose your marks there, so don't do that. Yeah, so please be very particular about it, right? There are certain which are direct questions, you can take the direct line, but there are certain which are indirect where you have to read and then answer in your own words. Don't make mistakes there, right? I just hope you have understood the whole thing, right? Because reading without comprehension is not a reading. Comprehension, understanding. So if you are going to read without understanding anything, is it going to help you? Definitely not. It is not a reading. It is a waste of time. It is time pass. Don't do that. Please, while you are reading, understand. See, this is not just comprehension. Now, okay, here questions are asked, right? Then when you read your novels, when you read your storybooks, what do you do then? You understand it, right? You don't just go through the words, right? So please understand what you read. It will be the best transfer of knowledge. Yes, it will. Please keep trying. For more such tips and tricks, keep watching and keep learning.